Alright, so this is a Group 4 race at Bathurst. This was one of the daily races from the last week of 2019, and as you can see, it is an all-American grid, with the exception of the lone Mexican in P3. Surely nothing bad, nothing can go wrong. Qualified in P6, qualified a little bit lower than I would have liked, but we'll see if we can make that up. See if we can, at the very least, get onto the podium. And luckily we did qualify high enough so that we don't have to get kicked out of auto drive in the middle of this corner here. That's the P7, P8 unfortunately has to navigate that corner. But it is lights out and away we go. We're going to try and get a good exit out of turn 1 here, so we can have a run up the straight on this Nissan GTR. Hopefully we can get him by the time we get to Griffin's Bend. Tucked right into the slipstream behind him, gaining, and we're just going to pull out, I think, to the inside. Yep, there we go. Quite a speed differential here as we go up into Griffin's Bend. We're going to have the inside line braking at the end of that tarmac path on the left, staying on the inside, leaving him plenty of room on the outside as we just slip by him up into P5. Job done. So now we're just setting our sights on the Bugatti up in front as we go into the cutting right now. Unfortunately, on this track, there's not really that many opportunities for overtaking as we get to this section of the track going into Skyline. So right now what we're really trying to do is just to get as close as we can to the Bugatti up in front, hopefully close enough so by the time we get to the back straight, we can have a run at him there. Trying to get as close to the wall here. Didn't really get as close to the wall there as I would have liked, but nevertheless, this little section over here, it's a little tricky. Try to steer as little as possible. We got to be really, really careful on the brakes. Lift just very, very slightly as we're turning so we don't spin the car. Keep the car under control. As you can see in P3, half a second penalty for the Mexican in P3. I didn't really see what happened there. Maybe he cut the track slightly going into the S's. But hopefully that'll just play into the hands of myself and also Alwex up in P4. Here he is serving his penalty as the Bugatti gets by Soy Magnus, the Mexican in the Megane. So we are Renault twins. Making our way now up into the chase, trying to get by him. Can we go down the inside? And yeah, we just completely punt him off. That was entirely my fault. Just carried too much speed into the corner, but miraculously we do not get a penalty. So somehow we've used excessive force on the Mexican as we try to get by, and somehow we come out better off. So yeah, flashbacks to the Mexican-American War, unfortunately. Wasn't something I was trying to get anyone to have to relive again, but anyways, here we are, up into P4 now. Back on the mountain straight, now just trying to catch up again with the Bugatti up in front. Hopefully we can get him this lap, or even on the final lap, try and get onto the podium. Braking just a little bit after the 100-meter board up in front. And oh, he just puts one wheel onto the grass and almost spins out entirely, but he manages to catch himself. That does help us out though, because we are now almost half a second now closer to this guy as we make our way for the second time into the cutting. It's the beginning of the more technical part of the track. Normally you turn in around here, right where this tree is, and I just don't. I turn in a little bit late, miss the apex completely, have to lift off a little bit just to not run into that left-hand side wall, and as you can see, that mistake has cost us dearly. We are now 1.3 seconds behind P3, but he runs a little bit onto the grass, goes a little wide. Hopefully that helps us a little bit. Once again, into the S's. Taking a healthy amount of curb over there, trying to use minimal steering as we go through the S's, and this is one of my favorite turns on this track, the dipper. It's just so much fun to go through, but it's also fairly difficult. You can definitely get that completely wrong and ruin your race. Coming out of Forest Elbow as we go onto the back straight now, I get an okay run, tucked in behind the slipstream. Hopefully we can catch this guy before we head back down to turn 21. Coming up in a little bit. We are gaining ever so slightly on the Bugatti as we come into this small kink over here, and it just seems like we are just not close enough to go for a move down at this turn. Fair play. But I do get a better exit out of that corner than he does. So see if we can go for a move into the final corner. Pull up to the right-hand side of him. He has the inside line, and I just kind of back out a little bit. Could I have made that move stick if I was just a little bit more aggressive? Possibly, but I just don't think it was worth the risk of taking us both out and ending our race right there. So, on to the final lap. For the final time up the mountain straight, tuck into the toe behind him, see if we can get as close to him as we can. Going up into turn 2, and then hopefully just follow him as close as we can through the more technical portion of the track. If he makes a mistake, we'll take advantage of it, but if not, we'll get him on the back straight. And I just took a little bit of a look, see if I can go around the outside of that corner, but just wasn't close enough, so tuck back in behind him. Now for the final time into the cutting, a little bit of a lift here until we're hard on the brakes. Stay left and track out to the right, try and get a really good exit. And once again, I just completely missed that apex all through laps, just not getting that apex. And that again has cost me as all legs pulls away. And for this left-hand turn over here, no, just go a little bit too wide. That bump on the entry just messes with your steering. And now I'm just thinking the podium's running away from us because of those mistakes that we made. But it actually seems that he's not taking these corners very well at all. So I'm not the only one making mistakes on the final lap. And because of that, we've gained almost a second. And it seems the podium is back on the menu. So trying to get a nice exit out of that corner so we can have a nice run down the straight, and it seems we're actually closer to him than we were on the previous lap. So we're going to tuck into the toe behind him. And is he going to stay to the left? Yeah, he's going to stay to the left, so he has the inside line as we make our way down to turn 21. We are wheel to wheel now, and I'm just thinking I don't want to do a repeat of what happened on lap 1. So I'm trying to leave him as much room as I can, trying to brake as late as I can over here, just leave him just enough room on the inside as we squeeze right by him, and we are through. Onto the podium, P3 on the final lap. We did not start the American Civil War Part 2. Take a slightly defensive line here as we go into the last corner. Wasn't really necessary. He wasn't close enough to try anything. And that is us on the podium. Across the line, checkered flag. Get in there, Lewis. Miracles do happen, mate. So from P6 up into P3 onto the podium. And yeah, if it wasn't for that little scrap with Soy Magnus, who ended up P5 in this race, if it wasn't for the scrap we had with him on the first lap, then I'd say that was almost a perfect race. Except, you know, apart from not getting the gold, or, you know, almost restarting the Mexican-American War. That's apart from that.